Okay, so now we're going to talk about Eaan, the evolutionary argument against naturalism. And the question is whether the probability of R given n and E is low. That is, the question is whether um, the probability that our cognitive faculties would be reliable given naturalism and evolution is low or not. Planning wants to say yes, Dennett wants to say no. One thing I like about this section is I felt like there was an actual, clash and connection. Um, so, yeah. All right. So what I see Dennett saying is this. He thinks, again, he wants to affirm that evolution could wire us and select for cognitive faculties that produce true beliefs. And the way he does that is he starts giving some examples from animals. And one thing I do like when I read Dennett is when he starts talking about biology and creatures, and he writes about them very well. It's what he's done in other books quite well. He has this book called Darwin's Dangerous Idea, where that's a big theme of the book. Okay, and one example he gives is the example of a bird, the passerine bird, where because it can reliably indicate where the fish are, they were selected for, partly by the help of fishermen, who would also give them fish when when the birds would accurately detect where fish were. So it was very survivally advantageous for these birds to have these reliable indicators of where the fish were. And so in general, we can see how evolution would select for creatures that have reliable indicators. I have a little picture there of a bird. Right. Anyway, the bird's indicating, where the fish are. Okay, so what do I take planning as response to be on? So from page 66 to 69, he kind of reiterates his argument. I recommend you read it to keep trying to get your mind gripped around it. And then here's his response. He agrees. It seems to be that creatures like the bird would have to have reliable indicators, and he uses a frog example. There's my frog. I hope you guys like it. And the frog just has to detect where there's a fly, and it'll like snatch the it'll snatch the fly, and apparently it just does this by reflex. Like when the fly is going by, like it detects it, and zip, and it grabs it. And same for, he says, even in human beings, we have different systems that detect what's going on. Like the immune system will detect where there might be, bad things coming in from the outside, germs, viruses, whatever. And then so the immune system might have to indicate and detect, foreign bodies, foreign things from entering into our body. But then Planning's point is, that's right, but he's not just talking about indicators, he's talking about belief. And here I think Planning is pretty clear. So it might be that the frog has a zip, just kind of zap the fly, but that doesn't mean the frog believes that there's a fly. And it's even more clear in the case where, let's say our immune system detects, something bad in our body. We, the person, we might not believe that we have something bad going on. Like that's something we have to find out, let's say, after our temperature rises. So the Planningist point is reliable indicators is not the same thing as having true beliefs. And so his point is, look, I agree that unguided evolution might design creatures with reliable indicators or accurate indicators, but that's not going to tell us whether our beliefs are, for the most part, true. All right, so I think that's an interesting move, and I think in general the evolutionary argument against naturalism is pretty neat. There's the frog analogy, frog example, which is in asked for about in the study guide. So make sure you know that. I think you should also know the examples about the bird and the immune system. So there we go. One last video where I'm just gonna say goodbye. So